and welcome to another edition of In the Studio. Today we are talking sports and the sports development in Dominica. I have with me the president of the Dominica Olympic Committee, Mr. Billy Doctrove, a name that is synonymous with sporting greatness in Dominica, and we will discuss how we can move sports forward on the island. Mr. Doctrove, hello and welcome to In the Studio.
Good day, Ms. Dura, and thanks for having me.
Sure. Your most recent undertaking is that of president of the Dominica Olympic Committee, but you have a rich history in sports in Dominica. You're a former football referee, a former cricket umpire, quite a few achievements in sports in Dominica. Against this rich background of accomplishments, what are you up to nowadays?
Well, as you said, I'm presently, I've retired as a football referee for a number of years. Also, 8 years ago, I retired as an international cricket umpire. So I've taken up the mantle of the president of the Dominica Olympic Committee in May of 2017. So from since then, that has been basically the focus of my time, besides my family and also my family business, Biggest Financial Express. So I've been focusing totally on the Dominica Olympic Committee, because when we took up office on the mantle to try and get things sorted out. When we took up office, there were a number of controversial incidents in relation to the Dominica Olympic Committee, and that's why I was approached to try and see whether I could come in and get things sorted out. So, and I'm happy to report that so far I think that we have done a decent job. It has not been easy, because we have, as I said, we have had a lot of difficult situations to clean up and to clarify. But so far we have been doing well, and I want to thank my executive and the affiliates of the Dominica Olympic Committee for the kind of support and respect that they have offered to us as an executive. So this is basically how my time is been spent now.
Mm-hmm. You took over the DOC in 2017, and you speak about some of your objectives in brief. But tell me a little bit more about the impact you're hoping to have on sports organization generally on the island in your present role.
Yeah, well, firstly, I have what we have been working on from since we came into office is to try to ensure that the affiliates, that the respective associations, we have 14 affiliates, and all of them to improve their governance, because this is the same thing that affected negatively the Dominica Olympic Committee per se. So we have always been trying to focus on the governance and the management and the accountability of the associations. And so we have had meetings with them, we have had training sessions with them, and what we're hoping to do in the near future, which we will have had done most likely earlier part of the year, is a program on club structure. Yeah. Because we believe a lot of the clubs and they fall short when it comes to, again, administration, and that reflects on the parent body. So you have the cricket association, the football association, the clubs affiliated to these associations. They are not really well structured, and without that proper structure, you find that their governance is weak, the way they participate in sports. So we have been focusing on that area quite a bit, and in addition to coaching, over the past 8 months we have been working with UWI, and I really want to thank Dr. Joseph and Dr. Kazimi in UWI. We have had 2 coaching programs in collaboration with UWI for coaches in Dominica, and we are hoping to have another one in September with 41 coaches, and I think that will go a long way in improving the coaching standards and capability of our coaches here, because without proper coaching, no matter how much we try, our athletes or sportsmen and women will not be able to fulfill their full potential. So we really want to focus. We have really been focusing on those areas of coaching.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you already identified two areas, club structure, the administration of, and the improvement of coaching as two ways we can improve sports on the island. And I think we can admit, Mr. Doctrove, that over the years, past 2 decades or so, we've seen a drop in the quality of and interest in sports on the island. In football, in cricket, cricket seems a little bit stronger, but we have seen a drop in interest. How else are you looking to help improve the quality of sports in Dominica?
Well, one of the things I've always said that we have to try and identify like heroes, icons in sports, so that the young persons coming through can identify with those persons. We have had success or successful people in sports, but I don't think those people are adequately recognized by authorities and generally the public in Dominica. So you find that if we go down the line to talk about sporting persons who have been very successful in sports, if you go to a lot of young persons and ask them about those persons, they will not know. So I think that we have to try and incorporate that kind of education in our school system, where we can highlight those sporting heroes, highlight their achievements, so that the young people can identify with them. So there are many other areas. One thing we also have to look at is our infrastructure, and our facilities. I think that we have fallen short badly when it comes to those things, and I would like to see those things improved. I think we are having little bits and pieces, but I think we really need to improve our infrastructure, because previously in days gone by, I always say that we had basically a few sports: cricket, football, basketball, track and field, netball for ladies, volleyball came into it, but the other sports are generally new. Now, when people like me and the old people were growing up, we didn't have many what I would call attractions or distractions. We would just basically be playing our sports, just for the love of it and so on. But right now, with so many other activities that can take the young people's attention, we need to try and impress on them the importance of sports and what sports can do for themselves, what sports can do for your country. Right now, in any sport, if you reach the very top, you can have a very good living standard. There are careers now in mostly all sports. Previously you didn't have that. You used to play basically as for your enjoyment as an amateur, but now you can become a professional in sport, and as I said, have a good standard of living. And it can bring you very, very far. So there are many areas that I think that we can improve, and these are the areas that we I've always highlighted when I've had discussions with the Ministry of Sports, the Minister, and also the Prime Minister. I've had direct discussions with the Prime Minister, and I think that they have understood where I've coming from. I know sometimes I feel that probably I might be putting a lot of probably pressure on them, but I really believe as the president of the Dominica Olympic Committee, I have to really push that line of thought to ensure that the sportsmen and women, we have a lot of talent and potential in Dominica, but you need something, you need some kind of support and encouragement to bring those young people to the next level.
So I'm getting from you that one of the ways to approach this is by specifically targeting young people. Do you plan at the DOC level to do outreach in the schools on your own accord, outside of government's initiative?
Yeah, we do. As a matter of fact, we have already basically instructed or advised the affiliates, the associations, that what I would like to see them do is to reach out and get a pool of what we call their elite athletes in the respective sports. It's always difficult to focus on quantity, on numbers. So we have been recommending to them that they get a pool, the respective sports, they get a pool of what they consider their elite athletes in their respective sports, so we can really focus on those athletes, not abandon the others. But if we have $500 to spend on a particular sport, you know, if we just use the $500 to spend on every athlete in a particular sport, it might be stretching the dollar a bit too much. But if we can focus on what we call our elite athletes, then we can give them more attention. We can send them to courses, you know, and we can give them, you know, elite coaching, and I think that will help a lot. We also have we also encourage and support a lot of our athletes. And when I say athletes, I mean sportsmen and women in all sports,
Yeah.
to try and get international courses for them where they can go overseas, because we have to be realistic. Our coaches here have been doing a fantastic job under trying conditions, and I say we don't have the proper facilities. But on the outside there, the athletes will be exposed to a higher level of coaching, you know, a better quality of facilities, a higher level. Because if you look, most of our successful athletes have been those that have been based overseas because of that kind of support system that's on the outside there, which we cannot offer in Dominica. So we're really looking to see how we can get more young people, identify young people at an earlier age, to see whether we could, as I say, pull them and get additional support for them.
And you've mentioned the need for improved facilities. Of course, this is not a new concern. In the last budget enunciated in July, we heard from the Prime Minister that $2.5 million had been allocated for construction of the multi-purpose sports complex at Stock Farm. How important would be this project for the advancement of sports in Dominica?
Well, this is very important, and when I met the Prime Minister a couple of times, I told him that he needs to try to speed up on implementing that, because I think it's very important for our indoor sports, and I'm really happy that at last we can have money budgeted for that. It will support and encourage our indoor sports, you know, and we will have a swimming pool, a full-length athletics Olympic swimming pool, which will be a great help for swimmers, because over the years our swimming association has been very dormant, you know, and it's because that we don't have any real pool where young swimmers can go out there and practice, you know, and improve their skills. So with that swimming pool, I think I'm particularly pleased about it, because I think it will help our swimmers, it will help our swimming association, because 10-15 years ago we had some very good young swimmers coming through, but unfortunately, again, because possibly of lack of interest, because if you have quality facilities, it creates that kind of interest, you know, in people, and so we're hoping that can improve, that facility in Stock Farm can improve our indoor sports. And I'm also looking forward for the day where we can have a synthetic track.
Of course.
Athletic track. That's another area that I have. I'm always in the ear of the Prime Minister, and he's aware of that. We have a few years ago, before we came into office, they had identified a piece of land up in Warner for that particular purpose, but subsequently it has been proven that there is not proper for that. So we are basically looking at other areas, including a very interesting area, hopeful area in Point Rung in Portsmouth. So I'm hoping that with additional meetings and so on, and with the funding, and I'm sure that even the Dominica Athletics Association and the Dominica Olympic Committee can assist with the funding of that particular project, because I believe that without a synthetic track, our track and field athletes will always be at a disadvantage in relation to our neighbors, our neighbors out there. So we're hoping that we can really get that. 'Cause as a matter of fact, when I took up office, I said two things that I would like to achieve before or early in my reign would be headquarters for the Dominica Olympic Committee. Because we are probably the only one in the region that didn't have a headquarters. And I must say, 2 months ago, we eventually got the funding and we actually purchased our own headquarters. We have not moved in yet.
Where is it located?
That's in Bath Estate. Is just adjacent to the football house.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful property, and and I really want to thank Pan American Sports who have really assisted us, and because they said that they were, and you know, as well as saying that leadership counts, and that is very important because Pan American Sports made quite clear that it was because of the way that we as the executive have functioned and governed and was accountable in terms of our finance that they gave us an extra $500,000 to do that. Wow. So we have been very fortunate. So within the next month or two, we will be in our own home, you know, and I'm really happy about that. So the next really major project would be the synthetic track. So I'm looking forward to the day when we can open that track and have our athletes exposed to that level of facility.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that you're saying that the DOC could even assist in regards to funding. But I want to stick with that a bit because it is important. We have seen several of our athletes doing well enough, obviously qualifying for the Olympics. Do we have that pool of talent in Dominica in terms of athletics, track and field, that we really do need to invest more in the proper facilities?
Most definitely, because we have seen that where we send our athletes out, as I said, to probably especially to the US and so on for high level coaching, we have seen the success, we have seen their progression. They have really progressed from Dominica. As I said, the coaches here have been doing a fantastic job. I myself have had some issues with some of them where I don't think that they make themselves available enough for self-improvement. And when you're involved in those kind of activities, you cannot remain stagnant. You cannot remain stationary at one level. You always have to try and improve yourself. So whilst our coaches in Dominica have been doing very well, you know, but I think that if we invest more in our athletes, we'll see the success. And you know, in sports, as even Nelson Mandela said, sports is one of the activities that can unite and solve social problems more than any other activity under the sun. And if we can expose our athletes, then it only takes one sports person to be successful at a very high level to really propel and promote Dominica internationally. You know, and that's another area that I've been concerned about. I don't believe that we have recognized the important role sports can play in promoting Dominica internationally. And I say it takes one sportsman to reach a very high level, and it makes Dominica almost well known internationally. So we really have to invest more in our young people to ensure that they fulfill the huge potential that they have. And
sticking with facilities, we're seeing work progressing on the Massac hard court.
Yeah.
Are you pleased about
that?
Oh
yeah, very, very pleased. That is one, again, that's a project that I was kind of always concerned about. What was the delay? So as I said a few weeks ago, I passed through there and I went in and I saw the progress, so I was very, very happy. And again, like basketball, netball, volleyball, it's something that is needed. You know, and I know a lot of young people in the Massac, Maho, Kenfield area, you know, want to call somewhere a sporting home, you know, and I think they can really have that coming up, and we can utilize that for the entire country. So I'm looking again. This will be an important addition to our facilities, and also the courts that were recently laid down at the Windsor Park. I'm hoping that soon, I understand that there will be, the work will continue to bring it to a final step where the sports for those particular areas can start utilizing those courts. So those facilities will add a lot of ability to our sports programs in Dominica to go to the next level.
Of course. Recently, you were in the news with your concern about the government's intention to decriminalize up to 18 grams of marijuana. As a head of a sporting organization, how can your organization and others help to manage this new measure effectively? Because in all likelihood, government is going to go ahead. How can you assist in preventing the abuse that you're concerned about?
Well, even before that stage, I again want to register my concern about that, because as I said, in terms of the medical use, because it's a proven fact that marijuana has medicinal purposes, medicinal uses, and the religion part of it. But I have concerns with especially young people being exposed, having access to marijuana and any other drug on a daily basis. I've worked with young people all my life, for a very long time, actively working with them, on a daily basis, locally, regionally, and internationally. And I've come across many cases, I've said, where I have seen not only sporting careers, but lives being negatively affected by the abuse of those drugs. So I am very skeptical when I hear that young persons will be able to have marijuana. Well, we know about the abuse of alcohol, and we can see the damage that is being done. And to compound that now with marijuana, because a concern I have is that many people, some people, give the impression that there are no ill effects of using marijuana. Some of them say that they have studies which that they can present to show marijuana has no ill effects. But every study that they can show, I can bring out another study to totally have a different view from that, an opposing view. So we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful about how it's managed. In terms of the management, to tell you honestly, we will have to, if it actually goes through, we will have to try ways and means to educate our young people in terms of not abusing any of those drugs, because as I said, we have seen the destruction that the abuse of those drugs can cause, and it's going to be a difficult one to control. If it is legalized, it's going to be very difficult. But what we have to tell ourselves that if the government decides to go down that road, which again, I always want to highlight that I have severe reservations about that, then we have to go along and try and ways and means to educate our young people. I have not given it much thought in terms of how would we go about it. I've always said that we have to be careful not just following the bigger countries. As I've always said, the bigger countries have the infrastructure and the personnel where they can identify probably a young person who has fallen short using those drugs and to get them quickly, probably give them the treatment that is necessary. Now, we don't have those facilities here, and I am concerned that many of our families will just have to, if you cannot afford to send your child, overseas to a rehab, and those costs can be very high. If you can afford, most our families here will probably have to just stand on the side and see a member of the family go to waste and become a non-productive person in society. And those are the kind of things that I'm concerned about, because I've seen personally what it has done. So we have to, I'm still hoping to have further discussion with possibly government. If our voice, if our concerns are not heard and they implemented, well, we have to go along and try and see how best we can try and show our young persons that they have to be, if they can stay away from it, so much better. If they believe that they have to use it, they have to use it in a commonsensical way. And I am very disturbed about it myself.
Yes, I get that you're very passionate about this
Yeah,
topic. Fortunately, we've heard from Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit that all of these dangers will be considered and factored in as the legislation is developed. But it certainly presents an opportunity for collaboration between your organization and the government of Dominica, the policymakers. And as we wind down this discussion, I want you to comment in summary on how you see your organization and other sporting organizations collaborating with the policymakers, with sporting associations, referees associations, etc., and with sportsmen to advance sports in Dominica.
Well, we have a very close relationship with other sporting associations in Dominica. As I said, we have 14 affiliates which fall under the auspices of the DOC. We work closely with the sports division, that's the government arm of sports, headed by Mr. Trevor Shillingford. I'm in close contact with the PS and the new minister, and they have shown a willingness to make themselves available for discussion, which I think is very good. Instead of basically just staying on the side and being away from easy reach. I like to see persons make themselves in those positions, make themselves easily available to organizations like ours, because we're representing quite a number of young persons in Dominica. So I'm happy that I have that personal relationship with the PS and the minister and the sports coordinator, and also the Prime Minister. So we are always in discussion. We have to look at ways and means all the time for improvements. As I said, sports progression can be sometimes very slow. It can be slow to the eyes of the ordinary person. It's not something that happens overnight. We stress to our affiliates that they have to do a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, commitment in whatever area that you are, whether you're an active athlete, or whether you are in coaching, or whether you're in umpiring or refereeing or official or in management. You have to make a lot of sacrifice, self-sacrifice, self-commitment to the development of your sport. Sometimes I get the impression that some of our management officials in the sporting associations are basically there looking for their own well-being, to push their own ego, But when you are given a responsibility as an executive member of a particular association, you have to recognize that you have been given the responsibility to try your utmost to develop that particular sport which you are given responsibility for. And so this is one of the areas that we always try to encourage our management of our officials to try and improve. So, but generally, I am happy with the effort by the affiliates, and I want to commit our continued support and encouragement to see them fulfill their undoubted potential and ability.
Mr. Doctrove, the time has flown by, probably because this is such an interesting area of discussion. Sports is in itself interesting and exciting. So I'd like to invite you to keep us abreast and up to date with the developments from your perspective at the DOC and within the sector. For example, it's really interesting to find out that you have new quarters at Bath Estate. So these kinds of things we'd like to know about as we go forward and the interventions you're making to build the sports in Dominica. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to talking with you again soon.
Thank you, Ms. Durand, for having me.
And this has been another edition of In the Studio. Join us again soon.